For when their unhallowed zeal shall drive them beyond the endurance of sound doctrine, they will heap up teachers for their lust. That is, construct schemes of doctrine to suit their own desires, not wishing to be taught, but getting together teachers who will tell them what they wish, that the crowd of teachers whom they have ferreted out and gathered together may satisfy them with the doctrines of their own tumultuous desires. And if these madmen in their godless folly do not know with what spirit they reject the sound, and yearn after the corrupt doctrine, let them hear the words of the same apostle to the same Timothy. But the Spirit says expressly that in the last days some shall fall away from the faith, giving heed to seducing spirits, and doctrines of devils through the hypocrisy of lying talk. What advancement of doctrine is it to discover what one fancies, and not what one ought to learn? Or what piety in doctrine is it not to desire what one ought to learn, but to heap up doctrine after our desires? But this is what the promptings of seducing spirits supply. They confirm the falsehoods of pretended godliness, for a canting hypocrisy always succeeds to defection from the faith, so that at least in word the reverence is retained, which the conscience has lost. Even that pretended piety they make impious by all manner of lies, violating by schemes of false doctrine the sacredness of the faith, for they pile up doctrines to suit their desires, and not according to the faith of the gospel. They delight, with an uncontrollable pleasure, to have their itching ears tickled by the novelty of their favorite preaching. They estrange themselves utterly from the hearing of the truth, and surrender themselves entirely to fables, so that their incapacity for either speaking or understanding the truth invest their discourse with what is, to them, a semblance of truth. We have clearly fallen on the evil times prophesied by the apostle. For nowadays teachers are sought after who preach not God but a creature, and men are more zealous for what they themselves desire than for what the sound faith teaches. So far have their itching ears stirred them to listen to what they desire, that for the moment that preaching alone rules among their crowd of doctors, which estranges the only begotten God from the power and nature of God the Father, and makes him in our faith either a God of the second order, or not a God at all. In either case a damning profession of impiety, whether one profess two gods by making different grades of divinity, or else deny divinity altogether to him who drew his nature by birth from God. Such doctrines please those whose ears are estranged from the hearing of the truth and turn to fables, while the hearing of this our sound faith is not endured, and is driven bodily into exile with its preachers. But though many may heap up teachers according to their desires, and banish sound doctrine, yet from the company of the saints the preaching of truth can never be exiled. From our exile we shall speak by these our writings, and the word of God which cannot be bound will run unhindered, warning us of this time which the apostle prophesied. For when men show themselves impatient of the true message, and heap up teachers according to their own human desires, we can no longer doubt about the times, but know that while the preachers of sound doctrine are banished, truth is banished too. We do not complain of the times, we rejoice rather, that iniquity has revealed itself in this our exile, when, unable to endure the truth, it banishes the preachers of sound doctrine, that it may heap up for itself teachers after its own desires. We glory in our exile, and rejoice in the Lord that in our person the apostles' prophecy should be fulfilled.